everybody, it's Lizzie again at Dizzy Lizzie Papery, and today I'm going to show you my most recent Americana journal. I have made one other in the past, and people seem to really like it, so I have been collecting tons and tons of authentic Americana art, books, ephemera, and I've just been having a really good time, and I've been learning a lot, so that is a double bonus, triple bonus. So I thought I would share this one. It has been for sale in my my little booth at a store in town, which is great, but I'm not sure people in my town know a lot about junk journals yet, so it's not really garnered, my junk journals have not garnered a lot of attention there, and that's totally fine and expected. But when I restocked for Christmas at the store, I thought I would bring some of my journals home and share them with you all and see what you think of them, if you like them, and then I'll put them for sale on my Etsy shop. My Etsy shop is dizzylizziepapery.etsy.com. Dizzy is capitalized and ends in IE. Lizzie is capitalized and ends in IE. Papery is capitalized and ends in IE. I should say just the first letter is capitalized, and I'm sorry there's so much explanation about that. But I noticed that it was hard to find me on Etsy if you just searched without capitalizing the first letter of each of those words. I don't know why. But anyway, that's me, dizzylizziepapery.etsy.com, and I sell junk journals that I hand make and ephemera that I collect and accumulate into wonderful themed starter packs, and then there's some other really glorious books that I find in my hunts that I can't take apart. You know, if they're in good enough condition, then I'm going to sell them as is, but you can definitely take them apart if you want. Anything I would sell on there would be something that could be used for junk journaling or crafting, or just as a person's historical collection. Enough about all that. We're going to flip through Americana. And I'm going to take this price tag off here, if I can. But this one is going to be $40 on Dizzy Lizzie Papery. And while we go through it, I am going to remind myself what kinds of ephemera are included with it, and perhaps update that, because I have a little Americana Journal collection here of some yummy goodness that could go into these as, you know, freebie little bits. So this pin was where my price tag was. It's not really related to how the dangle is attached, but it can be, because I think I made this dangle out of the inside tie, but I can detach it if you want, or you can detach it. It's easy enough to do, to keep it together, and then it can be attached with a bulb pin like this, or however you like. But we've got some good beads on here. There's a couple vintage beads, not many in this particular one, but they're really cute, thrifted. A couple of them I have purchased new, because I went through the ones that I found thrifting, for the most part, that were in these colors. So I bought some supplemental colors. We've got some vintage fabrics in here that are, I think, colonial in appearance. I've not been able to identify them completely positively, but I thrift them and get them in antique stores. So This one and this one both came from a glorious antique store, these two fabrics, which you'll see a little bit through here. And then this blue kind of denim, soft denim fabric was actually a skirt that I got at the outlet, the thrift outlet. Most of the skirt, like the waist part of the skirt, was completely ripped and the elastic was ripped, so it would have had to be completely repaired, and probably not worth it for how much it was at the store. So I grabbed it because I loved that it had this embroidered detail here, and because it had two layers of fabrics. The top layer is this soft denim legging fabric, and the under layer is this super soft cotton. So there are two different colors there, or not two different colors, but two different fabrics. And then this is one of my favorite thrifted Americana bundle fabrics that I got a long time ago. And I have a couple bits of ephemera right here that I included. This was a freebie from Artsy Fartsy Life that I decoupaged onto a piece of cardboard. And this was just a piece of a recipe card, but I thought they were kind of cute just in the front there. And I put a paintbrush in here just to show that it can be used for a pen or a paintbrush, or even some little scissors I've put in there before. That's my cover. And then the inside I have this great vintage applique, I'm not sure exactly how to say that. And it is just attached on the edges, so a piece of ephemera could definitely be kept in it. Well, I thought, oh no, I have it sewn in a little bit there, so it would be kind of hard for this guy, but maybe a little piece of ephemera could go in there. This was artwork from a glorious book about American history. You can see also that this is actually a different fabric than this one, but they go together really nicely. And we've got our craft paper from Amazon packages. I kind of feel like a lot of junk journalers include this in their books, but because it's so wonderful and it's free. I like to be sure that it is in every single book, because the sound and the feel of it and how great it is to write on it with a gel pen is just winning combination. This was some cool art from an art book that I found that I thought was colonial in how it looked. And this was more of that artist's publications that were like kind of 90s colonial, farmhouse colonial. This was art about American birds, and we'll see the other part of it as we go through. This Army Division insignia, this was a cool, I think, we couldn't identify it officially, but I think it was from the 50s in the other memorabilia that I found it with at an estate sale. Most of the things were from between the 30s and the 60s, but I'm not sure about that, but I thought it was really cool. And there was some neat information in that little pamphlet. Here's some more packaging paper, which is great for writing. A children's book about colonial America. This was an old map of Georgia I'm trying to remember what year it was. I think the 60s. Here's my Georgia. 1965 it was. And this was in some memorabilia that I got from that estate sale as well, but a different part of the estate sale. Here is an 8-cent stamp on an envelope from 1973. And I just turned it into a page so you could journal on it. I've got some old music paper here, and this was about a American ship. This is an American children's book about, this particular story is about cowboys. This is cool. Charles Winsaki is the artist who does these incredible folk art works, and there was a book at the outlet bins again that was, I don't even know how to explain it, but there was this damage to it that looked like maybe it had been run over by a car or something, but I was able to remove that and salvage most of the book, and the artwork in it is incredible. So I use lots of his art in my books because I love American folk art, or folk art altogether, actually. This was a different pamphlet that I got of insignia of armed services. There's a craft paper. This was a library book, card. And then this is a little bit of 1980s wallpaper. I actually have a lot of it. I'm going to make several journals out of it, but I got it after I had finished this book, so I just put a little bit in it. Here's a little tip-in of this souvenir pamphlet, the Lincoln Memorial, Washington, D.C., with the cherry blossoms, which are glorious in the spring. This is the White House. This is the National Gallery. This doesn't show, unfortunately, the East Wing as it was. And I don't know exactly what year this was from either, but I think the 60s, because again, it was, so it wasn't an estate sale that I went to, it was a warehouse, basically, where an estate sale company gathers the things that they've not been able to sell in a home estate sale. And so sometimes there will be these bins of wonderful things to dig through, of ephemera and memorabilia, souvenir booklets, postcards, old photos, scrapbooks, that are all in these bins together. And they're not all from the same household, so it's not all the same year, but it was in the same vicinity as some of the other goodies that I got, but I want to say the 60s on that. This is very old 1800s music paper. It doesn't say it on this side, but hopefully on another side. Here was another part of that Georgia map. And this one does say the date, 65. Okay, so this was a 1930s advertisement booklet. This was from a different estate sale. And one of the owners in this particular estate made quilts, and she would make her quilt patterns out of these old, like the cardstock from these advertising books. The advertisements are cool, and the patterns that she drew. And I think what I've gathered, the information I've gathered from that estate, from that gal, is that the newspapers used to provide quilt patterns each. I'm not sure if it was each week or like every Sunday, I think, or if there were certain magazines or advertisement books that went out that would provide this information. But she had this incredible collection of patterns that were freely provided. I mean, I think it was free. I don't think that other than buying a subscription to the newspaper. So these were all of hers. Oh, isn't that glorious? I'm going to put it together and make a book specific to this genre. Well, several. As you can see, I've got quite a collection. Most of them were from the 30s. Because I think it was her and her mother did this. And possibly her mother-in-law. So there was quite an array. But then I also got some pieces of quilt. So I will make some journals with this as the inside and then quilt on the outside. Not necessarily quilts that she made, but some quilts that I've found that are in disrepair that I'm going to turn into journals. But so anyway, she would sometimes draw the pattern onto this cardstock. And I just thought the advertisement side of the cardstock was just as cool as the patterns. And the colors were great. So I did go through and add that to this book. But I have more of it. Let me see if I can just show you. So these were her triangles. And this was all, 1930s advertisements. And the reason I know that it's the 30s is because there was still part of a book intact. I love old advertisements. Like, they just tell us so much about, marketing and people, and how marketing advertising agencies marketed to the people of America, like what drew the interest. This was a cool one that I'm thinking I'm going to add in here too. Let me see if I can find that book for you, just because it's so neat. Here it is. So this one was called the Farmer's Market Bulletin, Winter Issue 1932, published at Des Moines, Iowa. Moderate rise due in hog market. And so the cover of it was these advertising cards, and then they were throughout it as well, the business reply cards, where you could fill these out and send them in to get free stomach trouble. Apparently you could buy that. I'm just kidding. What was this that they were selling here? Well, if you suffer from stomach trouble, tear out this card and send it at once with your name and address. We'll send you free of charge an interesting booklet, amazing testimonial, letters from former sufferers, and a $1,000 reward offer, guaranteeing that these letters were voluntarily sent in to us. I don't know why I feel like that's probably not true. I like the type font is cool. I mean, this, I'm sure it's hardly worth anything at all except in cool factor, in my opinion. Obviously, lots of people think it's garbage, and it would go into the junk bin, which is why we call these junk journals. gonna save it. Save it from the bins. Okay, and then what did I put here? This was from the Lee Ward's catalog. The Lee Ward's catalog I actually found at the outlet bins as well, and it is from the 70s. And this was one of those that you could send in for your free catalog. Lee Ward's was the leading hobby and craft catalog. So that was cool. And then this was also from that book about American history. This was a printed version of an advertisement that went out for Howe's concentrated syrup for the blood, liver, skin, and heart. Tonic bitters. $500 reward if it fails to cure. Throw that in there too. Okay, some more early American artwork, which you've been staring at while I've told you this super long involved story. I hope I'm not boring anybody. Some old cars, illustrations of Brewster carriages and sleighs, courtesy of the print room at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And then our centerfold is American Traffic. early American Traffic. This was a little advertising card. And then this was in some ephemera also at that estate sale collection. Another advertisement for Oliver Oil gas burners from St. Louis, Missouri. And again, you could just fill out your little card, dimensions of your stove. That was neat. Eagle Wing, Extreme Clipper Ship, Randolph Cooley, Agents in San Francisco. I don't know what any of that means. Oh, duh. Merchants Express line of clipper ships for San Francisco. Oh. Cool. Okay, here is that. Some more of that Georgia map, and the way that the map's going is kind of upside down. So I tipped in another advertisement, and this was from June of 1951 from a little magazine called The Coronet, or Coronet. And they have this cool illustrated advice column. Non-smudge tape, household disinfectant, double duty oven, spot repellent clothes. That was cool. And then this was the advertisement for this Graflex prize-winning camera. Cool. Okay, so then at a different estate sale, I was able to get my hands on these glorious scrapbooks, and this gal and some of her family members had kept greeting cards and postcards, and I mean Valentine's Day cards, St. Patrick's Day, Easter, everything is in these books, and I vow to cherish them and pass them on to continue to give them wonderful life. Don't know why I'm sending this, tain't a special reason or season, but golly, when I likes you so, don't need no other reason. Love, Pat. August 1945. Isn't that adorable? I'm pretty sure you guys can see everything okay, but just gonna... So I tipped that in as well. Oh, and there's a note on the back. And then this is just, you can see where it had stuck to the scrapbook paper. Most of the ones that I have came unstuck on their own. They're the only ones that I've used so far, but I do have some special product to unstick them without harming them. And it is called Undo Adhesive Remover. And it's pretty cool. There's some stuff that it hasn't worked on. If you've seen some of my videos, I showed my experimenting with that. But I will definitely do more of it because those scrapbooks are just incredible. Some people who find them will sell the scrapbook online, so you can buy them, definitely. And it, you know, if you love that kind of history, it's wonderful. This is another part of that old music paper. It feels cool. Like, you can just tell that it's special. It had lots of rips, so I have tried to repair it, not with any historical definition or anything, but I've tried to keep it together well. Here is that insignia of the armies. Again, more Charles Wasaki. That 1930s children's book, the Cowboys story, and the music page, or a different music page. Oh, I forgot I put this in here. Okay, so here's more of that cool 1980s wallpaper. And then this was also from the person I'm calling my friend Jean, and that's whose house it was, where I was able to, I want to say, inherit her glorious scrapbooks. But this was one of the Christmas, like a handmade card that was in there. To Augusta from your aunt, Mrs. Geske, it looks like, or Gerke. And Augusta, I've not been able to search back the lineage exactly, but this is actually a grandparent. So this is definitely from late 1800s, early 1900. It doesn't say the date, but isn't that so beautiful? And I know that I could probably sell it on its own, or, you know, or keep it, but I just thought it was a fun little thing to add to a book like this. It's special, makes it different than any other book that you might own. Okay, and then here's the other, I forgot I did this cute little pocket. That is cute. This is the other side of that 1973 envelope. So these made pockets, and you've got your own original Pabst Blue Ribbon patch, and then another print of an advertisement for Menard's Liniment, internal and external remedy for man or beast. Hey, there you go, 25 cents per bottle. And then I put some tea or coffee dyed paper on the back as a journaling card. Or journaling space, actually. It's not hard enough to really be a card. A friend of mine helped me find this, so shout out to my friend Stacy. And here's our Georgia map. I've just been collecting older maps of any place in the United States, so there's no particular reason that I would have the Georgia map in here. It just happened to be maybe the colors that I liked, or had enough of cool looking illustration. This is that book about colonial America again. craft paper, and here's our Navy insignias. I have lots of Navy folks in my family, and they thought this book was cool. Oh, okay, and so here is the Blue Jay, which of course, classic American bird, and here is the wood duck. So this one says it's featured in Maine, and I just thought this was a cool illustrated book. It's not old. And then here, the wood duck is from Lake Bemidji, Minnesota. I hope I said that correctly. And there's a little bit of history of America here. Sorry, I keep taking time to pause and read those things. And there's that 90s colonial artwork again. Okay, and then I've added this. So this is just the other side of this art card on the front. And, which, by the way, says the Ohio farmer, William H. Harrison. So this is the other side of it, which talks a little bit about that. And I just put this little card here to make a little pocket in it, and then I included this 1976 advertisement card, which is interesting, 1976 being the anniversary. So Santa Fe, this was the Santa Fe Railroad, and then they had these cool paintings printed on the other side. Historical. I thought those were really neat. I got a bunch of them, and they have different art on them. Okay, and then I have a great collection of historical postcards. I guess I did go back and use this wallpaper a lot, and I'm glad I did because I just love it. The colors are perfect. So I have quite a collection of postcards that I've been accumulating. I'm addicted to them. I love them so much. I'm not necessarily looking for value. I'm just looking for cool. This was an advertisement from that Coronet magazine. And then this postcard, I try to put a postcard in almost every journal that's of a bigger size like this, something special. So this postcard shows fire coming out Market Street, April 18th, 1906 in San Francisco, California. I don't know why they would make a postcard of that back then, but historical. And you can see the trolley lines through town there. And then the handwritten note on the side there. This is from 1907. That's when it's post-dated from San Francisco, December 17th. We have a 2-cent stamp. And it was sent from San Francisco to Los Angeles, California. Just kind of a cool little keepsake. I like to put ephemeral pieces into these books for 2 reasons. One, I think they're cool, and they're just cool to have and to own, and say that they're your own, and to give them more life. So really 3 reasons. And then the third reason would be that I like to show how the book can be used. I want to show that there are tons of pockets throughout where you can keep anything that you find and want, to have forever. So it can just be an example. You can get rid of it, or you can ask me to not keep it in there so that you can fill it completely with your own treasures. But then also it is to show, you know, that you can tape on here, and you can glue on here, and you can use different kinds of tape and different kinds of papers, and what they sound like together, and how you can make a pocket anywhere out of bits and pieces and places to keep your special treasures. So it's kind of exemplary. I am pleased with how much ephemera that I already had in here. I couldn't remember what I had done, but I do want to add one of my glorious antique receipts from, they're from 1906, 1907, and 1908 from a grocery store in Cardington, Ohio. C and P Farrington Staple and Fancy Groceries. And I have a big collection. I do sell these in packs of 10 for $8 on my Etsy shop. And I have them kind of clipped together, but they are naturally curling. I have found that they can be decoupage to things. In fact, I have an example. Ooh, sorry for the reach. But this was one of them that didn't have a date written on it. It looks like it says spaghetti for 18 cents written on it, but it didn't have a date. And I figured if you bought them from my site, you would want the ones that are definitely dated. So the ones that aren't dated, I've used to kind of experiment with and see how they work with the different kinds of glue. And so I did decoupage them here onto this masterboard that I ended up turning into what will be a journal cover, because I just love it. I love the look of it. But they did really well. The glue that I used, I usually experiment with several kinds, but most likely it's this Gel Brilliant Gloss by this company. And the other one would be Mod Podge. The one that I got is satin. But this is so shiny that I'm pretty sure it's this one. This one shows up really shiny. This one, because it's satin, is shiny, but it's not as shiny as this one. But you can get Mod Podge in matte. I think you can get this in matte too, but I love them both. And then I've experimented with gesso, and this is a matte translucent, and I find it to be wonderful, but not as heartily keeping the bits together. You can tell that I don't know the official words of the art. I just play and then share. So these are particularly glossy, but they didn't ruin. They're super great. They look great. They feel great, and the pen, if it was used, didn't blur. So let's see, this one, again, it didn't have a date on it, but they were all from that range, 06, 07, 08. And this one looks like butter, definitely butter. It must have been 20 cents each for $1.37. Can you guys see that okay? Is it too shiny? Sugar for 25 cents. Raisins, I think. 24 cents. Oil, 24 cents. And this was December 31st of whichever year. I don't remember which pile it was in. And this one, like I said, says spaghetti for 18 cents. So I like to include those in these journals as well, and how appropriate in a Americana journal. So let's look through here and choose. We've got, this one is from March of 1907. It looks like baking soda for 10 cents. Starch for 10 cents. Something I can't tell. Something I can't tell. Soup, 10 cents. Combs. And something else. I just loved that back then they had house accounts where anyone from the family could go in and put this on their account, and at the end of the month the family would be invoiced for it. It wasn't that long ago, actually. In the 90s, I was working at a little pharmacy in my hometown where we still did that for some of the older customers. And by older, I just mean customers that had been with us for a long time. October 29th, 07. This is probably eggs. 4 dozen eggs, 22 cents. It says Bill coffee, sugar, rice, something else. This is probably, I don't know. Oh, tomatoes for 6 cents. And that looks like graham. I don't know what that is for 25 cents. Actually, I think I'll put both of those in. Oh wait, here's an 06. And I think it was the same store that changed names, because the older ones, the 1906 receipts, say Kirkpatrick and Roermond. But same address and everything, so it must have changed names to C&P Farrington. This is a dozen eggs, oil, tea, yeast, baking soda, coffee. That's a good one. Let's put that one in there too. Okay, so this book will come with we'll do this one and this one, a 1906 and a 1907. So you've got a Kirkpatrick and a C&P. One with the blue writing and one with pencil. Okay, cool. So now I think what I'll do is the best way to keep them in here so that they don't get, they're not really brittle. It is old receipt paper. I think that it's wood pulp paper, so it's rather sturdy, really. Some of the oldest ones are a little bit brittle in the collection, but I think that's just because maybe they weren't kept at the same humidity through the years. Let's see, where should we put this? I'm going to put them in here. Nope, I'm not. Oh, maybe here? So they're just kind of hiding in there, and then I'll put one of these little, we'll do antique brass paper clip. Okay, so that is it. I have kept you for way longer than I meant to. If you hung out for any part of this, I really, really appreciate it, because it helps me stay on task. And as I'm getting ready for the holiday, I am needing to get this stuff up on my shop so that I can store it in a careful way and get it out of the way for the Thanksgiving holiday. Okay, Okay, so this is Americana. I originally called it the little sister because the original one that I made was a little bit bigger than this, but it's mostly, I guess I'm just not going to do that because you guys don't know what that one was, so you wouldn't know what it's a little sister to. But it is 5.5 inches wide, a little under that actually, and then top to bottom 9 inches, so 9 by 5 really, and it is, as is, about 2 inches open. Here, it is just one signature that is sewn in to the spine, and it is sturdy and soft and wonderful. And I think I attached it to just some, you know, like a cereal box board, pretty sure, or chipboard. So it is mostly all recycled, thrifted, upcycled, things that would have likely been thrown into the junk bin for trash, and we're going to give it new life. So I just love these Americana ones, and let me know if you have any questions or any information about things that you've seen here. If I got something wrong, please don't hesitate to tell me. I do not want to give you know, the wrong information about something. I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to let you go, and I'll be here again soon because I have some more glorious journals to share here. These are some of my no-sews. These little no-sew guys I have to share. This is what I call a greeting card journal, and I have one on my site already. And this one is even smaller, and it is put together a little bit differently. It has a different spine than the one that's on my site. And because of the way that I've bound it, it can hold a bit more. So it has more in it than the one that's on my site already. But isn't she adorable? So a greeting card no-sew. This one is children's book cover no-sew. I'll do a quick couple flip-throughs on here, hopefully. This is feed sack material on the back of this one. Very vintage and wonderful, almost antique. And then this is wrapping paper. I just love that. But these, they hold a lot. And all of these books come with a little bookmark. I'm not sure I've ever said that. But they're just eclectic mixes of wonderful things. This one is quite a prize, I think. Especially because this cover here is from 1907, an advertising card that went out. It is a no-sew, and it is beautiful, and I'm calling it Mama because most of the things I put in here are about a woman as a mom. Most of the things that are in here. And I think I should do a separate oh my gosh, words. I've lost my words, so I should stop talking. I think I should do a separate flip through for this one altogether. But if I don't, it'll be up on my Etsy shop. I'm calling this one Tall Mama, actually. And then these will have no-sew various names and greeting card. Is that all? Oh, there's one more that I'm hoping to show. You might have seen this one before. I made it a long time ago, but again, I'm not sure why it didn't sell in the shop, because I just think it's so cute. Maybe it was too expensive, so I'll have to look at that. But this was a patchy quilted cover that I did, and I quilted on top of some bubble packaging, all with thrifted, gifted, and wonderful bits of fabric. And it has this cool tall, I don't know how to say that, but on the inside, I'm calling this one the Pink Flamingo. So I did find some flamingo themed things that are inside. Some otherwise totally eclectic and fun, and little bits of all the wonderful things that I always talk about. If this is your first time seeing me, then perhaps you have not heard me talk about all these wonderful things before, but I collect things that I think are wonderful, and I want you to have them. I want you to share in them. So there's some super fun things in this one. So again, this one is a pink flamingo quilted, no sew greeting card, Tall Mama, Americana, and earlier I showed some of my mini dog journals, so please check those out if you're interested. This is the bookmark that I made that I had in this one, but I think it looks really nice with the Americana, so I think I might, maybe I'll change the ribbon out. Or maybe it'll go with Tall Mama. I don't know. Anyway, I try to have a bookmark that comes with them often, that I have also made. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I can't stop talking because I just love your company. And thank you. I love you all so much. Have a great night. Bye.